So welcome back to DC Silver Age Storytime, and today's story comes from Superman's Girlfriend Lois Lane, number 25, published in May 1961 with unknown writer and art by John Forte. Poor Lois. She mistakenly believes herself to be famous women of history. I must help her. You're Lois Lane. Remember? Lois Lane. No, I'm Betsy Ross. I mean Florence Nightingale. I mean Her Imperial Majesty, Queen Isabella of Spain. Have you ever become bored with yourself and wished you were someone else? Perhaps some famous person more glamorous than you are. Well, in this astounding story, reporter Lois Lane becomes not just one, but three famous women of the past. Her friend Superman has to use all of his super ingenuity in a desperate attempt to help Lois become her real self again and abandon forever the three lives of Lois Lane. I haven't seen Lois today, Perry. Is she out digging up more facts for her article on famous women in history? No, I phoned her last night and told her to temporarily drop it. I had her board a jet plane and fly to the African Congo. Africa? How come? There's an uprising of wild bushmen there. A crazy witch doctor has worked up his tribesmen into a fury. Lois will write an eyewitness story. She may need help. Lois has been acting peculiarly since her minor auto accident the other day. So he flies off to Africa and is immediately attacked by the bushmen. Like all troublemakers, you're headed for a fall, chum. What's your peeve, Buster? White lady nurse treats sick member of my tribe. It is my job to cure sick natives. The Bushmen are angry because your nurse is treating one of their tribe. Who is this nurse? You won't believe me. You won't believe this, Superman, but she's Florence Nightingale. Florence Nightingale? She is the most famous nurse in history, but she served in the Crimean War, and she's been dead more than 50 years. She dresses like her, acts like her, and she says she is her. See? Lois Lane. Great Scott, Lois is reliving the life of Florence Nightingale, one of the most famous women, or one of the women she told me she would include in her famous Women of History manuscript. Lois, I don't know why you brought that old-fashioned dress all the way from Metropolis in order to pull this absurd hoax, but you're no more Florence Nightingale than I'm Julius Caesar. You must be mad, sir, whoever you are. Be silent, lest you disturb my patients who are recovering. Splendid. Now his fellow tribesmen will disregard that troublemaking witch doctor and be glad to be treated with modern medicine. Thank you, miss, whoever you really are. I don't know if Lois is actually suffering from a delusion or whether this is her idea of a joke. Anyway, I'll return her to Metropolis, where she'll be safe. If this is a publicity stunt for your famous Women of History article, be careful, Lois. People may believe you've really lost your mind. So she looks through her paperwork and spots an article on Betsy Ross and suddenly believes she's Betsy Ross. Sewing a dress for myself is simple. After all, I am Betsy Ross, and I am famed for my skill in needle and thread. So meanwhile, Superman's out checking and discovers Lois falling from a building, of course. It's Lois again. This time she's dressed as Betsy Ross, the woman who made the first U.S. flag. Once again, she's reliving the life of a famous woman she wrote about. As Betsy Ross, she's trying to mend the torn flag. Uh-oh, she's falling. Caught her, barely in time. I failed to repair that flag. I'm Betsy Ross, and I must do it. I must. I don't think she's faking. I better help her out. So he goes around and grabs up materials to create an enormous flag. This is certainly big enough to impress Lois. I deliberately omitted one star from the flag so she could sew it on and really believe she made the flag. General Washington will be delighted with my handiwork. Oh, how pathetically happy she is, mistakenly believing she did a great job as Betsy Ross. I'll keep humoring her delusion that she's the famous woman she wrote about, so she won't suffer a complete mental breakdown. She does look very happy. And then she discovers her notes on Queen Isabella. And if not for Queen Isabella of Spain, Christopher Columbus would never have discovered America. Queen Isabella. When I gave the famous women assignment to Lois, I never dreamed it would lead to her trying to relive the life of each woman mentioned in her manuscript. Newsflash. A strange woman claiming to be Queen Isabella of Spain has locked herself in the Spanish Room in Metropolis Museum. She says she's waiting for Christopher Columbus to arrive. Oh, it sounds like you know who. May I borrow this? Certainly. Who comes to see the Queen? Lois is wearing the Queen's royal robes, borrowed from one of the exhibits. I must humor her. It is I, your Majesty, Christopher Columbus, a poor sailor. The world is round like this globe. Oh, Queen. Ah, you have my royal permission to prove the world is round instead of flat. I thank you humbly, most gracious Queen of Spain. Oh. We just traveled around the world. You can see the curvature of the earth from up here. Amazing. Lois's mind is obsessed with women of bygone days. Perhaps a real trip into the past will shock her back to normal. So they go back 100,000 years. Unfriendly, aren't they? You are not only a daring explorer, but a gallant warrior, Christopher Columbus. And a dinosaur attacks them. This is for your bad manners in front of a queen. I shall highly value you for this deed of valor, Senor Columbus. He takes her forward in time. Lois is still as nutty as a fruitcake. I'll have to try something else. I'm unlocking the fortress with the giant key disguised as an airplane marker while balancing Her Royal Majesty with my other hand. Who was he talking to? Look into Kandor, the city of Krypton that was shrunken by the space villain Brainiac. With the magnifying glass, Lois, does seeing Sylvia, that Kandorian woman who exactly resembles you, help you realize who you really are? Lois? Sylvia? You speak in riddles, Columbus. Are you daft? And so then he shows her the bizarro Lois, but that has no effect either. Return me to my throne, Columbus. I do not know this creature. Stop calling me Columbus. I'm Superman, and you're Lois Lane. If you doubt me, look about you in the Lois Lane room. You are Lois Lane. Get it? Lois Lane. I am Queen Isabella, impertinent upstart. Poor Lois. Is her mind so far gone that nothing can snap her out of mistaking herself for the famous, glamorous women she wrote about? Despite all my mighty superpowers, must I admit defeat? Was Florence Nightingale actually glamorous? Hooray! I've got it. Come on, I'm taking you back to Metropolis. Metropolis? What is that? You have behaved most insolently. Nonetheless, I shall finance your voyage to the East Indies. I will sell my royal jewels and give you the money. My idea is a long shot, but I think it'll work. Next day, Jimmy Olsen is starting to see Lois Lane cover the launching of a new atomic submarine for the Daily Planet, instead of reliving the life of some famous woman. Got it. This will make a perfect scoop. Perry will love it. Amazing. Lois is her normal self again. How'd you ever manage to cure her, Superman? It was simple. After returning to her apartment before I left, I added a new ending to her manuscript. When Lois reads this, she will want to imitate herself, and it will restore her memory. Lois Lane, famous newspaper woman. She works for Perry White, editor of the Daily Planet, and has scored many sensational scoops that have amazed the world. Departing, I looked back, and my super senses observed. This article about Lois Lane is fascinating. I must relive her life. Oh, wait, now I remember I am Lois Lane. You mean after Lois read the new ending you'd written for her article, she imitated herself? Like she'd imitated the other women in the article? Yes, and it proved a bridge that brought her back to normalcy. Thanks, Superman. You certainly had a super clever inspiration. So, yet another story of Lois Lane going completely insane.